Danny Lasoski here, as well as Terry McCarl. Some of you may have heard of him. I'm not sure. Terry's a 6-time track champion. Danny, an 8-time track champion here at the Knoxville Raceway. I thought today we'd talk a little bit more about the old days than the current days. I was hoping we could anyway. Danny, of course, is the all-time feature winner leader at the Knoxville Raceway with 93. Terry's fourth on the list with 49 wins. Terry has over 250 wins in his career. Danny's a 3-time Houston champion. Terry is a 6-time Houston Speedway champion up in Brandon, South Dakota. So probably we'd bring him by here. Again, I wanted to talk more about the younger days. You know, by now Lasoski's won 4 nationals, but it took him a while to do that. So we want to talk about the earlier days, starting in Knoxville. And I'll start with Danny. I don't want to date him or anything, but he started before Terry at Knoxville. And talk about, you have a good story about how you started racing. You had a real job, things like that. Can you tell the folks a little bit about that?
I was, I had a real job. I was building Army ammunition at a plant in Kansas City, and had a really good boss that understood that I was crazy enough to do what I was doing anyway. He would clock me out at noon on Friday and clock me in at noon on Monday so I could go to Sioux Falls and race. And, I mean, it's a long ways from Sioux Falls back to Kansas City, Missouri. We did that for 3 years in a row, and I had to work all week on my lunch hour just to make up for the hours that he helped me. But it was pretty neat, and I blame him for me doing this for a living, because I got called in one day and he says, hey, there's a new contracting company that took over, and they don't really like what you're doing. And I'm not really one of the guys to give an ultimatum to. And they say, we either work here or work now. So that's when I decided we're going to try this for a living. I started driving for guys who were working. Here we are.
And your dad was a big influence on you, too, when you were young.
My father, there's no way I would be here without him. It's the same way with Terry, I'm sure. You know, when you look up to your father as much as I look up to him and all the racing that he did, he traveled with me. He wouldn't go anywhere without him. And now he's doing that with my nephew, so it's great.
And your uncle had an influence as well.
Yeah, my uncle's Tom Corbin. I can remember him just putting back in the day with the pickup trucks with the camper shells. And if you want to go, you just hop on the back and the camper shells. But we went all to Farmington, Missouri, Springfield, Missouri, little places. And back in the day, he was a heck of a race car driver, and taught us a lot about racing then too.
Won 20-some features in a row at one point in time.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah, he was really good. You know, back in the day, you heard of Steve Kinzer and Sammy Swindell and Doug Wolfgang, and I may have been a little biased, but I think he was right there with me.
Definitely. And Terry obviously had a family upbringing in the racing as well.
Yeah, for me, you know, I've been around my whole life just like Danny, and it's just something, you know, something that gets in your blood. It's kind of, to me, it's like I've never done drugs, but it's like a drug addiction. You know, you just would do anything to do it. It's so exciting. It's so much fun, and plus it's not just racing. You get kind of that gypsy blood, and you're traveling like he was saying, brought back memories to me, jumping in the back of the topper. You know, you couldn't even talk to the guys. No one had a cell phone. You couldn't talk to the guys up in the cab. So I mean,
you had to go to the bathroom.
Really bad. I remember as a kid getting back there, we had a topper and a bed made. Man, it was so comfortable. It was awesome. My dad would go up here, of course, and he's for the Southwest, so he would go to North Star Speedway on Sundays up outside of Minneapolis and Plain, Minnesota, and I used to beg to go every week. So once in a while, I'd have to go and check right back in the topper and the bed back there. But it was certainly a lot simpler time, but it was a lot of fun, and you wish you could revisit those things sometimes, But like I said, it's part of the gypsy part of the racing that gets in your blood, and it's like a drug addiction stuff to get it out.
You had some brothers that were involved too with the family racing stuff.
My brother Kenny was really more mechanical. He raced for a while too, but he helped my dad out quite a bit when he was young, and he's still a really mechanical guy. And I didn't really get a chance to race, to be a driver that much, with much behind him. But he could have been a good mechanic if he wanted to pursue that. My brother Tommy was never really, he never really got involved. He loved the races more than anything. He's a big #1 fan. He's a great fan of Danny's too, but he was a huge race fan, but never really drove or worked on it too much. But my whole family, racing is basically what we work around. It's kind of our life.
One of the stories that you've told me is about sitting in the stands alone at Granite City when your dad crashes, goes out of the fence there.
Yeah, I talked him in the last minute and let me go to Granite City with him, and in the heat race he flipped out of the ballpark, clear out of the ballpark, before the roll cage. taped off and everything. I went running down and I jumped this big 6-foot fence and went down there, and it was lucky because it was pretty really bad non-leaning deal, you know, and it tore the whole roll cage forward, so it pushed me forward. They didn't have these nice seats back then, and you just got little seats like over here. You can see around here. It's kind of crazy now looking at them, but it's the X and the roll bar busted apart, stuck through his arm. And he was more mad. He was really pissed because he had a brand new uniform on.
Yeah.
Don't cut it. But no, it was decent, but now you know, it's one layer of Nomex probably. I don't even know what it was, but it probably wouldn't even stop you 10 seconds. But my favorite part of that story was, none of it's Leonard's favorite part probably, but my favorite part was I jumped in the ambulance, we got in, and the ambulance driver takes off driving. He gets out of the street and he looks back and goes, "Where's the hospital at?" I'm like, "You gotta be kidding." Geez, so yeah, that ended up. He broke his arm in that one. I don't know if he broke any legs or anything, but he made it out okay, I guess.
Definitely. And Danny, talk about your first trips to Knoxville, and when did that really become a dream to you to compete here?
Well, my father he ruled with an iron fist, and his favorite thing, even with myself and with Brown the same way, you don't go to Knoxville until you're ready. You know, that whole time, you know, I'm a Missouri kid, you run Saline County Speedway and Sedalia Fair, but you never go to Knoxville. So you're not going there if you're not prepared, if you don't have the right equipment, you're just going to go there, beat your head in the ground. And back then I thought he was just punching me, but it was the right thing to do. Don't come here until you're ready, because as you know, if you wreck here, you wreck big. And the cars I had, I wouldn't have trusted them to run where I was running. So, you know, it goes back to thanking your family, your father that looked out for you, and for me, that's second to none.
Yeah, definitely. And what was the first car you brought up here, and then kind of take us through the early years?
I brought one of my own cars up here. I wanted to run the National. I don't know what year. I think it was 83 or what it was. And I think I wanted Q-Main or whatever. Well, I couldn't keep up with the pace for it. It was that bad. So I wasn't go back and just, by luck, had it over the winter. Mr. Robert Terry, that owns a Terry Ready Mix 22 car, called me over the winter, and he said, "I know you don't know me, but I want to run Knoxville." He said, "I want to run anywhere else. I just want to run Knoxville." And that's the first time I ever felt like dirty motors back in the day. Dirty motors were just, and we came in '84, and I think it was like the third night out. We won our first race here. So.
Yeah. And Terry, how about you? I think you started in '85 or so, around there, with Daryl Aarons, was it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I remember coming here with kind of playing with I was here with wooden grandstands. It was 50 cents to get in. I remember when they first built the aluminum part, it was like $1. We're like, oh, that's
you got to pay for the sand.
50 cents, yeah. You remember the Tom were sitting in wooden grandstands once, and the guy crashed, and his front wheel came. Yeah, about the I mean, just missed us, right? It's kind of crazy, but yeah, I didn't start racing until 1985. My dad didn't want us to race, and he wouldn't help us at all to race. And really didn't want us to get involved. He tried to keep us from getting addicted to it like we all are now, but I only raced go-karts. When I was 18, he would never help us, so I bought my own go-kart when I was 18 and went and raced that. And then, you know, an unfortunate thing happened. Daryl Aaron's son got cancer, and I talked to him at the Nationals in about '84, and he said he had a bump under his arm, and by Christmas he was dead. And that was, you know, him and Daryl were really tight. He was not very old. He was kind of the mechanic of it. Daryl did the motor part, and Chris did the chassis part. So that what happened was, I think, you know, Daryl always had pretty good drivers in his car. He didn't have much stuff, but the stuff that he had was really good. You know, the older stuff he took really care of. It was a good, solid ride. So, but with Chris dying, I think everybody thought that he would never race again. He was going to quit. So I called him up. Actually, Lori was there when I first called to get my first ride. So, and I think because I was a little younger than Chris, but because of that young thing, and he was friends with Daryl, was friends with my dad. I just didn't think anyone called Daryl because he thought he was going to quit. So I kind of got lucky in that sense, and I called him up, and he gave me a chance to drive it. So, you know, like I said, he had like a 9-year-old McCarl car. My dad would go to it, but he had a 383 iron engine, and these guys had Gerties. But it was a good, solid little piece, like I said, a good, solid car, and he kept it clean, and kept it never fell out for mechanical reasons. So it was a great, great car to start. Daryl's still a good friend of mine today, and I actually bought that car off him. I have that car. It's still sitting up in the shop right now, so one of these days I really I'll go pick it up. But it was a great for Daryl. We ended up the second year I raced. The first year I did around like 9th and 10th in points, and then the second year we ran 5th in points, and we won 3 features in a row. and with that car. So it was great. I was glad for Daryl too. He deserved that to get some feature wins for what he's been through with Chris and everything. So it was a great match, and we both looked back on it fondly.
And Daryl still races a little bit. He still owns a car up in
Still out there.
Minnesota area. So I know Gordy Vogelar's driven it the last couple of years and stuff like that. So Danny, I know started about 83 or so, and but you didn't make your first Nationals final until 86.
So I started driving for Max Rogers. But I really hit the middle of there. Mr. Gary, he wanted to, Mr. Gary, he just wanted to slow down. I was at the point of racing that I wanted to race more than just here. I wanted to slow over. And Max Rogers asked me to drive for him. He said, "Well, we'll race a little bit." I had no idea what I was getting involved with there. And we won our first championship in '86 and got to travel around a little bit to see what it's like to mess with the Outlaws on a little more basis. That's really kicked it off for us.
And it was the mother load at the time, probably.
It was for me.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm actually dressing myself some spare parts. He did a good job. That's where I met Guy Forbrook when he had his accident. And we hooked up with Al Cole. Al Cole at the 5-car, and that's when really our career started to take off.
Back to 86, what did it feel like to make your first Nationals A main finally?
I actually told you right now I didn't know it was 86, but it was something for us. I had no idea what it felt like. And I think I told Terry this a long time ago. The experience of just making it was overwhelming, but when you win your first one, there's nothing like it. I told him, you'll feel what it's like. You think about it all the time.
Yeah. And your car from the first one's right over here, the Beef Packers 83 from 1998. So it's pretty cool that we have that still to look at.
Actually, next year when we come up here, the other three will be here. My dad's restoring all three of them. We have them in my shop at home. Putting them all back together.
Cool. And Terry, you told me a story about just competing in your first Nationals and how you felt going down the backstretch in the heat race.
Yeah, that was funny. I kind of had a little bit of the same thing last night I can segue into, I guess. But like the first year in the Nationals and I'm in the heat race, going down the back straightaway, and I remember going down the back straightaway, I'm just pushing on the pedal so hard, as hard as I could. I just remember Jeff Swindell passing me, and we had a pretty good heat race, but I made it out of the heat race. I made the feature for the first National, the qualifying night feature. But I remember on the back straightaway, and all of a sudden my leg was bouncing. And I remember, hell, something wrong. My leg was bouncing so bad. And I realized I was pushing so hard on the pedal, that my leg just started bouncing. And actually, that kind of happened to me last night. I caught myself last night. I know we're watching Austin in the heat race, and my arms started shaking. My arms shaking. God, I'm so nervous. So, yeah, I'll never forget that. My leg was just shaking on the back straightaway. I thought I had a car problem. But yeah, it was. Daryl's car was a solid car. We did pretty good with it. But I showed you how much it means. I had never had that happen before. So I was pushing on the pedal so hard. I wanted to make that so bad that my legs started shaking.
And you drove for Chuck Merrill, the 5M, a little bit there, kind of the house car, and then you also finally drove for your dad.
My dad was running Chuck Merrill's massive chassis car, and they changed drivers around a little bit right for the '87 Nationals. That was the first National A main that I made, and we ran second in qualifying in the afternoon to Sammy, and then started 12th in the A main. I think we ran 12th to the A main in '87.
We had more rain that year than we even have this year.
Yeah, well, it's not over yet.
Yeah.
But Chuck's been a great influence in my life too. He's always helped me out a bunch, loaned me a truck and trailer at one time, and let me pay on my bills when I didn't have the money. So he's been a great influence in my career too, and he helped my dad. My dad worked for him quite a bit too. So that was kind of a really cool car back in the day. I kind of felt like he did. I drove the 5M Merrill Contractor's car. Man, that was because old dually and old chaparral trailer was all painted up together. It was really kind of a piece of crap. But it was all painted up, and I could look at it. It looked awesome. So I was pretty proud of that.
Definitely, and talking about driving as well, I didn't want to have the both of you together and not talk a little bit about Guy Forbrook. You both got to drive for him.
We don't have near that.
Yeah.
He's a unique individual.
Yeah, he is. Talk about Guy a little bit. I know he's not here to defend himself right now, but talk about Guy. Danny, you were in and out and in a couple times and that sort of thing. So the relationship wasn't always rosy, but you guys paired up for quite a few quite a lot of success here.
It would be like racing with your twin brother, if it's the best you want to describe it, because we fought during the day and race at night, and that's how it was. Hey, the bottom line is, he unfortunately got paralyzed, and he couldn't race anymore. So I don't know what that feels like. I don't want to feel like, but I can understand where he's at. He thought he was the next AJ Foyt, and if he didn't believe him, ask him. That's just how I felt about it. He's really intense about racing as well as we were, and sometimes we didn't agree, and when we didn't agree, we fought. So people on the outside didn't understand the commitment, the desire to win that we both had, and when you have that much desire, it's going to be rocky. And the guy's a heck of a mechanic, and still today wants to win just as bad as he ever did, so my hat's off to him.
And Terry, I think one night when I was in the pits after the race, I think you're the first guy I saw get chewed out because you only won by a little less than half a lap. So I remember one night.
Yeah, I didn't drive for him as much as Danny has, of course, but I respect him a ton as far as he's one of those old school guys, like Danny said, that his heart and soul's in it. He's passionate about like we are. He'll work day and night on that car to keep it together. Mechanic. My only thing is he's so hard-headed. Stuff. You got to learn to drive a tight race car to drive for a guy. Danny told me right away. He goes, "Hey, you guys don't know if you know the 30.5 Goodyear is a very, very big left rear." And Danny told me, he said, "Yeah, 30.5 up there, and there. You're going to throw on one of these days." I'm like, "Wow, that's like a champ car tire, an on-beam tire." No way. He goes, "Go look." And I sure enough, I went up there, and he's got it hidden up there. I thought, "You better never put that." So you wouldn't be able to turn the car, But anyway, he's very hard-headed, but I respect him, and you got him cars, a solid car, motors. Back in Danny's day, especially, and then when I first started driving for him, he had the best motors in the country, and really took care of them well. And he works really hard, and he lost the ability to drive himself, so I respect him that he stayed in the business and did what he could as a mechanical end. And he's a smart guy. Yep,
definitely. We got some people gathered around here, and most of this I wanted just to have some questions from you. If anybody has a question for Danny or Terry, could be about the past or the present, maybe some politics going on. These guys love politics, so we can ask them that as well. So we'll just turn it over to you guys.
Is the racing better this year? For the fans, it seemed a little bit better, not the same winners every week.
You're talking on the World Outlaw Circuit?
Yeah.
I don't see
The stars, the stars, the
Cream's always coming to the top usually, so.
What about the two wide starts? I know you can both answer this. I know Terry got upside down with the two wide start out at Tulare. That was a pretty hard crash, and I know it's provided some excitement, gives you a chance to move up maybe a little further, but also at the same time can create some havoc.
Right. Well, in my opinion, and again, it's bad for me because I'm a fan on the left hand and I'm a race car driver on the right hand. And the race car driver part of me says we need to get rid of the cone, start off turn 2 like we used to back in the olden days. And I know why Ted Johnson acclimated the cone is to save equipment. Or what the 2 wide's done is create a chance to junk your car. But to make the fans happy, that's what they want to see. So it's a catch-22, and we got double tall starts in the World Outlaws.
Yeah, you make a good politician right in the middle of there. How about you, Terry?
Well, I kind of feel the same way because I'm a huge fan. I copied Danny exactly, but I'm a fan. I love it. And it's created some exciting racing. Created some times where Jason, Myers come from 17th or 18th or whatever, 19th to Vegas, and some things like that where guys can pass some cars. But it is it's more than you think. Although we do a double foul start at the start, you got 4 or 5 yellows. That's 4 or 5 double foul starts. I like it because I think I'm pretty good on starts. But I destroyed the car. Raymer just destroyed me in Tulare. I don't know why I did that. We're pretty good friends, but I got rained. Tommy Carlson had nowhere to go. Just cloudy. Just destroyed my car. It was a pretty bad deal. But again, I love racing. I am a fan at heart, no matter what. So I like it for the fans. But it's catch-22, like Danny said. It's a tough one. We wish we could have it if it was some way safer.
What discourages me, Terry, is you work your tail off to pass people during green flag, and then in a matter of caution, the guy ahead of you may stumble or nothing, you lose everything you gained. It took you 25 laps to do.
Well, and the other part that you got to think about too is that the leader does get to pick his line. So say Danny's coming really good on the bottom or the top, usually for Danny, he's on top of the wall. By the time he's running fifth, so picks whatever, he ends up getting started at the bottom, and that a lot of tracks, the bottom may be really, really, really bad. Wow, we lose 2 or 3 spots, but it just got all those spots. And And now he's stuck on a place that he doesn't even want to be, shouldn't be, or never picked to be, and then he loses 2 or 3 spots. I see that. I've got to race a ton this year. I've only raced 20 times, but by listening and Lori's giving me some of the rundowns, it seems like it can be a bad deal. That's a bit unfair to a person who's worked really hard to get to the position.
Initially, the Outlaws said, like on a one-lane track, the rubber down, they might go single file. Have they been consistent with that? I'm setting you up.
I've seen it done one time this year, and it was because the racetrack was so dark. When you started the race, then they went to single file, but it wasn't because of rubber.
Well, I was in Florida, and they talked about, and that was the one thing I said is, on rubber tracks, you're going to have to be able to get rid of this double file thing, and we went to that one, the biggest fiasco down here in the history of the Outlaws down in Oklahoma this year, and we went to a rubber, it was laying rubber in a B, and sure enough, they didn't change it. And so, that was one of those times where I was doing pretty well, and I kept getting stuck on this outside on the start, so every start I'd lose the spot, you couldn't get in, it's rubber. And they wouldn't get rid of it, and everybody's going to start crashing each other, everybody's going to start banging until they got it. And it ended up being a big tire, every rolling tires run out of fuel. It was a big, huge fiasco. It was all because of that, really.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, what's the reason you guys stopped going to California?
I can't answer that because I'm not going to get into politics. It had something to do with the politics of the World Outlaws. And I think that when the non-wing guys come in and race for less than half the money and they were making more money about it, I think that's what.
We love going there.
Yes, absolutely love it.
I lived out there a lot of different stories.
Yeah, I don't know what the true fact is. I just know it. I have no idea. Like I said, we really, really enjoy going out there.
Terry, you raced out in California for a couple of years, though.
Yeah, I raced out, out of the San Jose area, Pleasanton, Old Hills, Country Builder. So, yeah, I love Calistoga. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. That's one of the places all of our sponsors would fly into and come and watch. And the track, could be good or bad one way or another, but the setting alone was just, beautiful. And so, we'd love to go back if they ever bought us, certainly.
You guys wish you could race all the smaller races, just the atmosphere of a non-sanctioned race.
We just want to run 100 races on the year.
Weekly race.
I'm speaking for myself, but I just want to run 100 races a year. This is 60 and 70, and then you counted 20 rounds.
But the outlaw rules and your schedule
Right.
dictate that you can't do that.
And really don't know what the outlaw rules is because it changes weekly. Because one time it says it's 24 hours and it's 48 hours and it's 200. You just don't know, and then you whatever day you call them and see what mood they're in if you can go race something. It's something.
It's really not fair. I understand them protecting their promoters. They have to do that. But the rule originally came out with 24 hours before within so many miles. That's a very good rule. The outlaw promoters, spent $100,000 on a one-day show. What's happening? A guy like you would come in and put a show on Oskaloosa the night before, pay Danny some money to show up, pay $5,000, then you get a couple outlaw guys. It's not fair to the promoters to spend all the money. So that original rule was good. They've taken it kind of too far, and now they basically, they told us 2 years ago when I was there that, you're not going to race anything but outlaw shows. I said, that's okay. I'll do that. We're kind of like Danny saying, as long as we can make money, as long as we're racing. I said, if I made 10% of what Dave Lady makes racing the NASCAR, 10% of it. I said, I guarantee I don't even watch anything else on TV but outlaw shows. But we don't make enough money. And now, if you guys look back, it was always 104 races. Ted always had 104 races. The guy made money. The guy 10th in points back then made decent money. Now, no matter what it pays, really, it's got to be better, of course, but to get down to 60, 70 races, that's 30 opportunities to make money that you're not, making money. So, and then to limit us to where we can't go race here or there and only running 70 races, I refuse to do it. Last year, I was 4th in the nation in money earnings, and I made as much as Danny did, barely beat Danny in money earnings, and I mowed my yard every week. I was off running, run the outlaw shows when I wanted to, run the Fall, run Knoxville, run whatever, go to Kings Royal, go to all races I wanted to, but, that's all I really want to do. If they would get enough races back, I would sort of like run the whole field again, but it's just not, I don't see a lot of guys make this much money with it.
We always wonder why a guy wouldn't do what Tim Schaefer does.
Geographically, he's perfect where he lives.
Because we've got the track right.
Well, it depends on, your car. KC16 doesn't want to do that. They want an outlet.
Yep.
There you go. So, that's down a little bit. Yeah, they're a little too restrictive. Again, I appreciate their side of it, the business end of it, want to protect their product, but they also, we got to survive.
Other questions?
My
my great-grandfather, the day I was born, I guess this is what I was told, that I guess when I was born, they put you in a little incubator thing, and they turned around, and he just walked in the hospital, grabbed me, and started walking down the hallway with me. So this is my little dude, and it's stuck.
Talk a little bit, Danny, about, you talked about it earlier, but winning your first Nationals, you've been at it for 13, 14 years, competing in Knoxville, and before you finally won it in '98. Talk about that a little bit. And the circumstance, it was a hell of a race between you and Sammy.
Sammy and I swapped the lead. It was countless times in the whole race, and I would lead, he would lead, and he was leading. And I think he took the white. He went into turn one and missed the bottom, and we stuck it and come down the backstretch. I'm like, oh my God, can you believe this? And I'll never forget it. Never took a day. You think about it all the time. And what's ironic, and I hate to talk about this, but you're driving down the road and you're racing 100 times a year, and that's one race that I know Terry could vouch for that you think about all the time. If you set goals at the beginning of the year, it's the Knoxville Nationals first, win the championship. You're driving down the road and you're listening to the radio, and you know what? What if we ever win that? What would I say? Man, I had a speech made, and I was going to talk for days. I couldn't think of one thing. So, but again, once you do this, and there's not a week goes by that I don't think about that race.
What about the mentality? So many drivers, and I'll ask Terry this. You have this focus. You put more pressure on yourself. It seems like once the driver becomes more relaxed, or tries to, they're gonna perform better. One year you were starting on the pole, and I think you really you've talked about it a little bit. We're psyching yourself a little bit when you're on the pole that one year.
Well, you've heard a lot of guys say you almost feel like you have to lose the race before you could ever win it. Learn from them. I hope I get another chance to start it like I did, but I was a little more worried about Danny than I was just running my own car. And I learned a lot. I think we had the fastest car and could have won it pretty easy. But back then, especially with the tires, the way the track was, if you slide around the track too much, that left rear would seal up like that. Late in the race, my left, I was kind of blocking him and worried about him. I think he had 5 restarts. I mean, Steve Kidser spun out on his own, and Donnie Schatz spun out on his own. When does that ever happen? So it worked out good for Danny, but not for me. But I sealed up my left rear tire, and I ended up running 5th. And I was actually happy to run 5th because if it had went another lap or two, I'd have run about 10th. I mean, we were done. The tire, it doesn't wear out. It actually just sealed up like this floor. It shined to its work. But I learned so much, of course, and that's how you can. Danny was up there. Danny ran second before that, and I even asked Danny that time he beat Sammy. I was so impressed with it. It was such a great race, and he followed him down in turn 1 on the last lap. I'm like, why did you do that? Why didn't you go to the top? And he's like, and I set up to run the bottom. I was running the bottom. I couldn't run the top, and he stuck by his guns, and it worked great. He won, but it's just the confidence of any athlete is very important, and I do what Danny does. I dream about it. I think about it every day, and I try to put myself in different situations so when they come about, it's almost like you've been there before, so you're not nervous. You hope you won't make that same mistake that you may have made. So hopefully I get a chance to start up there again, and I'd love it if Danny would run second too.
How about you? Are you less wound up after all these years going into qualifying tonight, or?
Honestly, God, I don't want to get absolutely. It's just like a normal Saturday night, and that's what. Until you learn that, because I'm the guy that back in the day with 4 bucks was like sticking around with a 220 in you all the time. you thought the only way you're going to win the Knoxville Nationals is just get buzzed up, and that's not true. I've been here the days that Donnie Schatz walk around with one of them damn things in his ears playing music until times. And I look at him and go, what's wrong with you? I mean, the talent is there. Don't psych yourself out. If you go in here, luck plays such a big role when you draw that number. You draw that number and you run those 2 laps, and you just go do your job. You're not going to drive any harder here on the qualifying night because you don't come here on a regular Saturday night. At least I'm not, and I bet he'll tell you the same thing. So when you come here, you either have luck on your side or you don't.
And what are you going to do after your driving career? What do you see?
Oh my gosh, I'm not thinking about that.
25 years ago.
No, I'd be honest with you, I'd like to be a driver coach. I'd like to own my own team and to teach, give someone an opportunity that had the right I'm kind of like old school rough. If you have the right mentality and you have a dream and you're willing to give up anything for that dream. So I'm living proof with my parents, just like I had money. I did this because I was so hard-headed. And so many car owners told me no, 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 and then finally you get that one that says yes. There's nothing like it. So I'd like to give some young guy an opportunity to take the learning curve straight out, because the things that we have learned along the way can really help a young guy that in today's racing, there's no way you can learn it faster.
Yeah, I'm a night manager of 7-Eleven.
The high pressure.
Oh, more about what?
Other questions back there?
How much does it cost to put your car on the track to let you team?
Just one car? and you had nothing. Just one car, put it there.
You know,
It was $75,000. That's brand new. That's if you had no deal. I mean, just went out and buying everything.
Motors are going to be the biggest part of that.
Yes. And you're looking at $52,000 for a motor now today. If you have nothing. That's what they cost.
Yeah, it's great motors. Mine are like 42.
Let me ask you about what you're going to do in your retire. How many more years do you think you're going to go?
Well, I truly believe, and I've said this for the past 20 years, I believe there's a beginning to your career and the end to your career. And I want to cram every race I can possibly get into that day, because I don't want a farewell tour. I don't want to see you guys tour. The day I get up in the morning and I don't think about winning, and I think I'd rather mow my grass and do anything, I'm done. I don't care if I get up tomorrow morning and don't like it, I'm going to Dover. And I love this sport. I live and breathe with this sport. And I'm really having fun, and we don't think we can ever get the job done or slow down. So.
How about returning to Knoxville to run? Could see something like that happening here in a few years?
Yes.
Well, I guess we did it 2 years ago.
That's right, yeah. Again, you set goals. I have a goal to win 100 races here. I'd like to win 100 races, and I'd like to win 5 Knoxville Nationals. And whether that ever happens, who knows, but that's the goal.
How about you, Terry? You kind of already said it. You kind of like the outlaw schedule, not the outlaw schedule, but the outlaw schedule where you just pick and choose where you're going to race. I think that seems to be the most relaxing for you.
For me, it works out the best, especially with my boys starting to race. Carson, my youngest one, will start next year, probably a little bit, 05 and stuff. So, I'll never catch Danny in feature wins here, but I'd like to get the second. I got 49, and I think 60 was second. So I think we did. This hadn't happened. I think we definitely could have maybe met in a few years, hopefully. But I want to keep racing just like him. I certainly haven't lost a desire in getting hurt, and just keep doing as long as I can. It depends for both of us on sponsorships and rides, and those are getting harder to get every year with the economy the way it is. So for me, right now it's really difficult because I can't really chase a ride or a sponsor because I don't know when I can race or what my next fate is. So right now for next year, I'm not sure what's going to happen with me, but I'll be racing one way or another.
Talk about Austin. It's really been a blessing for him to have you around this year, I think, and he's done really well here at Knoxville.
Yeah, he's been a blessing for me with tearing my arm up and stuff. It's been a lot of fun for me and the family, and we've been spending some great time together, and he's really doing well. He's a great kid. I hope all of you get a chance to go meet him, go stand in line and meet him, because he's a super, super kid, and I'm very proud of him. And he's just been working hard and racing as hard as he can. We really can't afford to take him too many places. I wish we could take him to some more short tracks. I wish we could grow up like Danny did. For us, like he said, he could go to Knoxville till you're ready, but we live 30 minutes from Knoxville, so it's hard to go anywhere else, But I wish he grew up around a bunch of short tracks. A lot easier on equipment, easier on the drivers, and easier to win, actually. But this is where we live, and that's what the cards were dealt. But he's been doing. He drives really, really, really smooth and straight, and for a only 17-year-old boy, hasn't raced that much. I'm really proud of him.
And he got the first win up at Rock Rapids earlier this year.
Yeah, he was awesome up there. And then the night I won Rock Rapids, I think he would have ran second to me probably, and had a mechanical problem. So he's been doing really good. Like I said, every night he amazes me, and I can't, just shocked at how well he. It's amazing for Danny, probably the same as me. I mean, even though we weren't driving as kids, but listening to the stories our parents, or my dad and his friends were talking about, watching the races, if you're really into it, you actually learned a lot, absorbed so much that when we started racing, as opposed to someone who hadn't been around that atmosphere, we had a lot more experience built in, and I think that's the same with Austin. He used to sit up there and flag, and he was really serious about it. He had his headphones on. I mean, he was really serious. Lori told him when he was little that he asked if the drivers could see him. She said, "Oh yeah." So he was serious about it. He did not make a mistake, and that you meet him, he's a very, very mature kid, and so he's absorbed so much from listening to stories and being around it that although he's only 17, he's really, like 25 years old as far as experience goes. But I'm very proud of him.
Race against you. How's that? You're going 1 and 2.
Well, we started on the front row at Twin Beaches together a few weeks ago. Yeah, that was awesome. And I come off of turn 2 and he passed me down the back straight, so I had to put a big slide down. I said, Dad's got to make some money, buddy. But actually, a week or so later, when I had that 200 on, we kind of tested a little bit. He smoked me. It was a real tacky track. It went nonstop, and he drove by me. He was going to drive the top 5. Nobody's passing anybody, and I think he would have got Drought and Dobmeyer, and I think he got a little too excited after he passed me and spun out. So it was funny because I was coming out turn 2 and I heard someone like, "Son of a bitch, someone's going to pass me." And I'm like, "It's Austin. Go!" And then he spun out. So he about took me out too. He was really good, but he's a great kid. I hope all of you guys get a chance to go meet him.
Talk about Houston's a little bit, Danny. I've heard you say it and Terry. Running Knoxville and Houston's back-to-back nights, that really builds you as a race car driver. You got the short track up there, the bank 3/8 mile. I don't know how many fans have gotten a chance to see it. You need to do that. And then the big half here.
Well, I truly believe if you go to Sioux Falls and you go to Knoxville and you can be consistent in both places, you can go anywhere in the country and be up front. And that's just, Sioux Falls makes you a racer. You have no choice because back in the day when Terry and I did, they started starting 16. They always converted 16 by points. You start 16 from there. Numerous times that if I did win, you didn't win until the last lap because you couldn't. Somebody got out front, you couldn't catch them.
25 laps usually. Right?
Yep.
So it was over just that fast.
And you're in lap traffic right away.
Sure. And it's a great racetrack. I love going there.
And Terry, I know you really love Houston's, and talk about the track a little bit. How that's built you as a driver over the years.
Well, I agree with what Danny said. If I could take Austin racing there every week, I wish I could more. I'd rather take it there than Knoxville to play. If it's a long race for us, but it teaches you everything. There's a fence. You got to drive the top like an animal, and the bottom like Bobby Allen. When it gets really slick, you really got a lot of finesse to run the bottom, and like see your traffic all the time. And it's a fun racetrack, and that's why you get such a good crowd on a Sunday night show. They put on a great show, but. When Danny was running there every week, I couldn't really afford to go up every week, so I'd go up once or twice a year just to try, because I wanted to race against him. And, he was the best around here, and that was a tough racetrack, so I slowly worked myself into it, got to going up there more and more and more. But it teaches you a lot. It's an amazing place, but if you can run Knoxville and Houston and then some other shows, that certainly will turn your driver a lot quicker.
You got some fans that really love you up there, too.
Yes, we do.
I know Danny got his share of booze over the years, too, up there.
They're not bashful at all.
Yeah. I have a great video of the first time I won up there, and I beat Danny in Austin. I was holding Austin. That's how little he was. He wasn't very little, very long to look at him. But they were cheering the heck out of me that night because I beat Danny because they hated him so bad. But it wasn't too long after that that the Boo Birds came. I had a guy, I called him the "You Suck" guy, because every night I won, he stood right there, about 5 feet that direction. And all he would say is, "You suck." "You suck." And I won like 6 in a row one time, and he's like, "McCarl, you still suck." Lori goes, "You're wearing him out."
That's a good thing when you're getting booed, isn't it? It means you're doing something.
You're doing something, whether they cheer or boo, you're doing something.
Other questions? Yeah.
Have you seen the change in the door systems towards the room?
We've seen change as far as appearance. He's really cleaned the place up. New fencing, suites lined the big, huge scoreboards. He's put a lot of money back into it. I think I'm maybe a little biased, but I think he's the best thing that's come along for our sport. Not only to give us a chance for an outlaw team, now he has 2. He bought outdoor. He has a passion for it, and that's what he wants to do when he's done.
I really haven't. I think he's doing a great job. Like Danny said, the infrastructure has really changed quite a bit on it, and he's really making it a really, really nice place. And the times last year we won the night before. I won the Ohio All-Star Speed Week opener from 6th row too, and then we won the night before the Keys Royal. I think 22nd, 5th in the Keys Royal. So I think it's a great track. That's one of my favorite racetracks, and every everybody makes a few mistakes now and then. Everybody kind of criticizes him for a few things, but that's kind of old school people maybe seeing Earl gone. Tony certainly isn't perfect, but I think he's doing a great job there. And I think that place, you guys got to realize, if Del Door gets heavy, there's no one alive here that can go 40 laps on that thing nonstop. I mean, it's just too much going on. You're going way too fast. The best thing is it's not as good a race either. And that thing gets slipped off to where you can run the fence, run the bottom, and slide off each other. It doesn't lay rubber. That's the perfect Del Door right there.
You avoided it for a little while.
Yeah,
I don't want you to have to talk about your first trip there. But.
My first trip wasn't a good one, but I got a pack with the fence. When I go there, when I go through every time I go there, so I look at it, I say, I won't go near you. You don't hit me.
Some of the guys like Tony Stewart, BC Game, even Dave Blaney come back and race it. You guys put a lot of extra target on them, or take a little extra pleasure in passing them.
Not for me, no, because I think Tony is the best race car driver, period, in the world today. I think it doesn't matter what you put him in. He's seen him drive a 360 car. Actually, he's doing real well in 14. He runs some in New York. He tried to run a couple outlaw races, but yeah, if you give him enough time, he would be good there. And I just think he's all around the best.
I think he's the best driver in the world, too. The story I can think of is when Danny was driving for, it might have been driving for him, Holbrook's had a car down in Florida. Lucia, can be a pretty tough racetrack. It's really fast joint. And the cushion really isn't a cushion like Knoxville because it's kind of sandy. And I seen this car go out there and drop the hot lap. I mean, it was awesome. Straight up, so I'm like, oh, Danny. I thought, well, Danny's hot lapping that car for Tony, make sure everything's okay. And he pulled in the pits, and I seen him drive by, and it wasn't Danny. I'm like, holy crap, that was Tony Stewart. And he's amazing. He's an amazing guy, and I put him up against anything. You can jump into anything, and that's tough to do to get a 3,500-pound stock car, a 1,200-pound sprint car, a midget. He's great for our sport, and he's got a great. I kind of like his personality, the way he gets fired up once in a while, and we need a little bit more of that, I think.
So what do you guys do like on your off days?
Off days? If every once in a while I like to go play some golf or something like that, but I get bored with that too because if I can't cheat or do something like that.
Can't perfect that sport.
Can't perfect it, no. But we live and breathe and eat sprint car racing. If we're not racing, I'm in my shop working on something at all times.
It goes for January too.
Yep.
December.
Yep, full time. And some people kind of accuse me of pushing the envelope sometimes. There's a little gray area, and if it's hurt anything. You just do a lot of work in the shop and try to make your car better until they make a rule against it.
Now you, Terry, you've seen your deck this year, huh?
Yeah, this we bought a house about 3 or 4 years ago, and I think we've been on a little covered deck. I think we use it 3 or 4 times. So this year we've used it about 15, 20 times. So it's been kind of nice. I'd rather not be injured, but it's like Danny said, it's amazingly nonstop, 24 hours a day. You go to Australia. As soon as the season's over, you don't have much time off. You got trade shows. You got to get rid of the old stuff. You got to instantly build. You already started. You're building your new stuff. If you have an outlaw team, especially. The winter goes really quick with Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Like I say, selling off stuff, getting new stuff, and then maybe going to Australia and racing, things like that. So we haven't spent. Last year, Lori and I went on vacation in the fall. That was the first one we taken, I think. Other than we went one day to the Ozarks about 3 years before that. So there's not much time to do anything, and so it's not quite as glamorous as everybody thinks. But again, it's very addictive, and it's what we love to do, and I love my great nails.
And you throw in some race promotions at the same time.
Yeah, and that's a lot of work. Lori does. I figured out in this deal too. The race, Lasoski can live without me, but it can't live without Lori. So I hope she never gets hurt. But it's a lot of work. Race promoting is a lot of work, more than people think. I know Danny said that too. You realize it too. It's a lot behind the scenes, more than people think. So, but again, it's part of what we do. It's part of racing, so we enjoy doing it.
All right, cool guys. Thanks a lot.
Yep. Hey, good luck tonight.